It's the Nightly Met. With host Avery Anderson. And now here's your host, Avery Anderson.
Oh, hello. So I am so excited for today's show, so I thought let's just jump right in. Our first guest tonight is the curator for depth and detail, carved bamboo from China, Japan, and Korea. So please welcome Douglas Wagner. So it was a very brief introduction because I wanted to get right into the exhibit.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about depth and detail.
Well, depth and detail was given its name because of the nature of the material that's in the show.
Okay.
It is 165 pieces, give or take, of bamboo artwork from China, Korea, and Japan, drawn from pieces that the museum was given from the Lutz Bamboo Collection.
Okay.
The museum holds about 1,000 pieces now, give or take, of bamboo artwork. And we've selected a gallery on the 5th floor of our north building to highlight bamboo as a material.
Okay.
And depth and detail focuses on a selection of these objects that focus on bamboo carving, as opposed to bamboo weaving that's often done, or utilitarian objects. These are objects that were primarily made for appreciation as artworks, and most of them are carved in pretty high relief, although there are different kinds of carving that you see as well.
Okay. So what is bamboo carving? What does that look like? Or?
Well, so bamboo itself is basically a form of grass that grows prolifically in East Asia, actually also in Africa and other places in the world, South America, North America. But it's a material that is used for all kinds of purposes. And so when you talk about carving bamboo, you're talking about carving two different parts of a similar plant, or the same plant. One is the stalk itself that grows above ground, right? Usually columnar with segments called nodes, right? We're familiar with how that looks. And inside is hollow. So you might carve the exterior in relief with scenes, or you might take the interior skin in some cases and peel that off and inscribe in that and scratch through that surface. So you have different kinds of carving, like you would wood, only you use either the stalk itself or, in fact, a couple of the pieces that we'll look at tonight, the part that grows underground, which is like sort of, it's often miscalled the root, the rhizome of the piece. It tends to be more solid, and so you can make three-dimensional sculptures out of it.
Very cool. Talk about some of those pieces that you've made.
Well, to discuss the stalk itself, because it's hollow, and inside it has these little diaphragms that grow where the nodes are. And so it's often used for containers. Sometimes it's for flower arranging. The piece that we'll take a look at is actually a brush holder. The stalk was cut at a level where the node itself could function as the base inside, so it's actually contained. And it would have been used for holding brushes in scholarly pursuits, painting, calligraphy, that kind of thing. But in the scholarly pursuit, you also have these ideals that go with being a gentleman scholar. And so the scene that is carved around this particular piece reflects some of that ideology and some of what a scholar might aspire to.
Very cool. And there was one called Logboat with Immortals, correct?
Right.
So that's a different one.
That's a different one.
What's that one look like?
Now that one is actually carved from the part that grows beneath the ground.
And it's not called the root.
No, well, This
It's
is
mistaken for the root.
right. It's part of the root system.
Okay.
Bamboo grows by propagating underground.
Okay.
And so the part that helps the plant spread underground is called the rhizome.
Okay.
And that's actually what this is.
I'm not a bamboo expert.
No,
so
and I'm not a
trying to
botanist,
grasp it.
so I don't want to get into the details of that. But this particular piece was carved from the part that grows underground. And you
Okay.
can see how its curvature would sort of lend it to growing to the next stage of its growth.
Okay.
The log boat with immortals, it's called that because it is carved in this very intimately precise detail of little human figures
Okay.
and leaves growing over the top of these figures. These immortals were invited by the Queen Mother of the West, whose peach orchards grow the peaches of immortality. And it fruits every 3,000 years. And so in celebration of her birthday, she invited the immortals to come and partake in this. And so receiving the invitation, these immortals, out of a stump, create this boat and sail across the sea to join her for her birthday celebration.
So all these pieces, where would they historically be found? Would these, are these more common pieces or a little bit higher class? Or?
These two pieces probably would have been found either on the desk of a scholar,
Okay.
someone who perhaps took exams to work for the Chinese imperial government, or a scholar who was trying to escape from the sort of rigors of imperial bureaucracy, which is sort of
Okay.
what the story around the brush pots talks about.
Yeah.
The other part, the other piece, the logboat might have been viewed in that same kind of circumstance, this idea of the Taoist immortals and the characteristics that they possess. Or it might have been carved for an imperial figure, someone who was looking at the idea of immortality to perpetuate their rule, that kind of thing.
And all these pieces are from China, Japan, and Korea.
Correct.
So how did you group those together? I mean, besides the geographical aspect, what kind of put all those together?
Well, so we looked at the entire collection that we had. Depth and Detail is actually the third iteration of exhibitions that we've had in this bamboo gallery, the Walter and Mona Lutz bamboo gallery. And these pieces were selected because of the nature of the carving. We've sort of historically chosen themes that allow us to draw from the breadth of the collection. So the previous one was Texture and Tradition, which dealt with Japanese woven baskets. So in this particular case, we took some of the finest examples of the carved works that we had and looked at some of the ideas that were sort of pan-Asian, the idea of immortals or the idea of the scholar, personal effects, things that people might have carried on them for writing, those kinds of things. So it was less about the country where they came from and more about the material, the way it was being carved, and some universal themes.
Awesome. Very cool. And how did you get involved with this? So what's your background?
Well, so I'm actually the assistant in the Asian art department, and not technically the curator of the exhibition. For years I worked with the department's previous curator, Ron Otska, who had a very close relationship with the donor's family, Walter and Mona Lutz, and their daughters and other family members that participated in the collecting of this bamboo collection. So over the years, from the 1970s, we've had a relationship where either the pieces were on loan at Denver at one point or over the last couple of decades being sort of progressively donated to the museum. And so there was always an eye that this collection would somehow reside in Denver, and we wanted to provide a permanent space to highlight bamboo as a material and the way it was used. So Depth and Detail is just one way that we're selecting pieces from this collection.
I see. And then what other pieces have you worked on? What got you to this point working? What prepared you for Depth and Detail, I should say?
Well, I mean, you have to have a good sense of Asian culture in general,
Yeah.
right? You can look at bamboo as a plant. It's a remarkable thing, right? And it's not just a biological marvel. It also figures prominently in Asian psychology and mythology, ideology. You know, it's praised for its resilience in extreme conditions. It's known for its uprightness, for its growth. It's evergreen in winter. So it has all these connotations. But then you also have to look at the reasons that the pieces were carved or the images that are being depicted. Because without understanding the underlying story, these are just beautiful objects without context.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That was wonderful.
That was a pleasure.
Yeah, you can check out Depth and Detail right now at the Denver Art Museum.
Denver is a unique and diverse school, and it requires an equally as unique and diverse newscast. So watch the Met Report every Friday at 12:30 p.m. and remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter and on mymetmedia.com.
We know that students have a busy schedule.
Especially here on a commuter campus, so join us on Facebook and Twitter for all your campus news.
News that's important to you because it's important to us.
Your fellow students. So check us out on Facebook, Twitter,
Or on our website at mymetmedia.com.
MSU Denver is a very unique and diverse campus, which is why it requires a very unique and diverse newscast. So join us, the Met Report, every Friday to discuss your campus news, local and world news, along with sports and entertainment news. Make sure to follow us on mymetmedia.com, Twitter, and Facebook at the Met Report.
Entertainment can be hard to find, but not when you tune in to watch eMet.
Watch eMet every Friday for celeb dishes, funny news, Denver events, and awesome exclusives. Not to mention great theater and movie reviews. Get caught up anytime on Facebook and Twitter.
Only on the Met Report.
Colorado's weather is always changing, and you never know when snow is right around the corner. You should always keep a shovel, boots, extra apparel, and extra blankets in your car. Colorado winters can be a beautiful time of year, but you always need to make sure that you're weather prepared.
MSU Denver es una escuela única y con mucha diversidad. Es por eso que necesita un noticiero igual de único. Así que síganos en el Met Report cada viernes para hablar sobre las noticias universitarias, locales y mundiales. Aquí también tenemos deportes y entretenimiento. Acuérdense de seguirnos en mymetmedia.com y seguirnos en Facebook y Twitter at the Met Report.
Colorado's weather is always changing.
We're student meteorologists trained to keep you safe.
We have the latest weekend forecast and help you prepare for the week ahead.
You can watch our weather forecast on Facebook, Twitter, mymetmedia.com, and on TV.
We help you stay weather aware.
I'm Joe Rice. I'm the Director of Government Relations for Lockheed Martin Space Systems. I transferred into MSU Denver while I was in the Colorado National Guard and after I completed my associate's degree. This was the only university where somebody actually sat down with me and helped me plan out my academic path to finish my degree and graduate on time. Reach for the stars, come to MSU Denver, launch your career.
At Metropolitan State University of Denver, our mission is to provide high-quality, accessible education that prepares our students for successful careers, postgraduate education, and lifelong learning in a global and technological society. Our values of diversity, access, and community help us provide opportunities for our students from all over the globe. In fact, we've just been named a diversity champion by Insight into Diversity magazine for 2016. Because at MSU Denver, we believe in transforming lives.
Welcome back. So for those of you who don't know, I am a total nerd, and therefore I am excited for the newest Star Wars film, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. So I sat down with a bona fide Star Wars geek and even got a Star Wars lesson myself.
I'm part of the original trilogy generation. And so I was born in 1978, so I was a little too young for the first two movies, but I remember, sitting on my mom's lap and watching Return of the Jedi and seeing, one of my seminal moments was that speeder chase, back in 1983 and seeing that on the big screen.
Star Wars is a part of our society. It is one of the most influential movie franchises of all time.
So I belong to a group called the Rocky Mountain Fan Force, and it's one of several Star Wars groups here in Colorado. It's free to join, and you don't have to have a Star Wars costume in order to be a part of it. So just a love of Star Wars, monthly meetings every month, and so you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Rocky Mountain Fan Force.
Star Wars has been a strong franchise, and Jonathan does not think it's slowing down anytime soon.
Disney bought Lucasfilm. They wanted to put out a new Star Wars movie every year. And so, they came out with The Force Awakens last year. And so I think it's an opportunity for even just this next generation of fans to say, wow, this is great. I can either start here, or if I really want to get the full story, I could go back and watch these movies, watch the TV shows. There's so much that you can enjoy and appreciate and kind of expand your mind, if you want to, about Star Wars. I think when it comes to Star Wars fatigue, what you get is whatever you put into it. So for someone like me, I'm probably not going to get too much Star Wars fatigue. So welcome to Star Wars 101. What we're going to do today, class, is we're going to talk about Star Wars and the timeline. So
that's the Star Trek, right? Is that what?
Okay, you're dismissed.
Pointy ears?
Out of class. No, get out of here. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to have, with our props, we're going to go through the timeline of Star Wars movies. So Darth Vader here, He's going to represent episode 4.
And we started with episode 4.
We started with episode 4, that's correct.
Does he not know how to count?
Well...
Why did we start with 4?
He wanted you to kind of know that there's this bigger universe that's going on. You're starting in a used universe. Things are not shiny. Things are not just created. You've got beat up warships. You've got villains and good guys, and everything has been going on for a while. Okay. So you're kind of dropped right in the middle of this great story, and that's why it starts with episode 4.
It's like low budget, like bagged ships, low actors. Is that what we're getting at here?
You know, they did have like almost all new actors for all these parts. Nobody ever heard of Harrison Ford or Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill. They didn't know who any of these people were.
Got it.
So 1977, Darth Vader made his debut, episode 4.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so good stuff happens. Yay, at the end, the heroes won. They blow up the Death Star. Well, he's the bad guy. See, you can tell because he's got the red evil lightsaber.
Well, why is red evil?
Red is evil because...
Was George Lucas a liberal?
He's angry. That's why. Was he a liberal? He very much was a liberal. Absolutely.
Is that why the bad guys had red lightsabers instead of blue?
What they call is, this is like starting point 0. They call that the Battle of Yavin. So that's 0 point. Yavin? That's...
Why, what?
So Yavin is the name of the planet that the rebels are on that the Death Star is trying to blow up at the end of the movie.
Who named this planet? Was that George Lucas?
That was George Lucas.
So he can't spell and he can't do numbers?
You know what? It's because of things like that you now have this Star Wars meme generator, Star Wars name generator, where you just put in a bunch of random letters and out pops names of planets and characters and all sorts of good stuff.
Let him make a movie.
I know, right? Well, you know what? He's a very creative guy. So, Battle of Yavin. 0. So now we have the next movie, Empire Strikes Back. So representing Empire Strikes Back, we have Han Solo and Carbonite as a USB flash drive.
Okay.
So that movie takes place 3 years in universe after this one.
Okay.
So the rebels are on the run. They're from the Empire, from Darth Vader, because he's the big bad guy. They're on the run, and we're like, okay, we need a new base, but things aren't looking good because the Empire has indeed struck back. So it's a good movie. People love it. A lot of people, it's their favorite movie.
Okay.
But it's kind of a downer. I mean, the good guys lost at the end.
Do they die?
Well, let's take inventory. Luke gets his hand chopped off.
Wait, you didn't say spoiler alert, though. So now, what if
I'm not doing spoiler alerts for 36-year-old movies.
Okay.
Forget it. If you haven't seen it by now, you're out of luck.
It's okay. Okay, so Luke gets his hand chopped off.
Luke gets his hand chopped off. Han Solo frozen in carbonite.
Okay.
Princess Leia is sad and on the run. Return of the Jedi, starring Admiral Akbar. It's a trap. So Admiral Akbar here, he's going to represent Return of the Jedi, which is episode 6. So we have 4, episode 5, episode 6.
And was this set like underwater? Why are there fish people as our lead now? I thought
You
this
know
was
what?
Star Wars.
Right? Star Wars takes place in space, on planets, underwater. You know, I would have expected him to have like a fishbowl on his head or something,
exactly.
right? The name of his species, Mon Calamari.
I don't even really want to know about that. We'll just move on.
Calamari, squid. Okay. So Death Star blown up. Darth Vader, spoiler alert.
Okay, thank you.
Darth Vader dies. Luke Skywalker wins. And so everybody lives happily ever after.
Okay.
Right?
That was the end of it?
That was the end of it. That was 1983. We're all done.
Okay.
However, so what they do is they create episode 1. All the way over here. So we have Darth Maul. He is going to represent...
Darth Vader's son?
I can understand the confusion. No, he's much more awesome than that.
Grandpa.
We'll get. He's actually 30 years before Darth Vader was even around. He was still just a little kid over here. Darth Vader was a 9-year-old boy when this movie came out.
So he was watching the movie?
Well, he was in the. He was a part of the movie.
He became Darth Vader from watching Darth Maul's movie. He said, "I want
He's
to be
still
like that guy."
Right. Well, he does eventually turn into a fellow Darth. This is the children's adaptation of Attack of the Clones. If you want to read it, I'd highly recommend it. It's cute. And so in this one, that's going to be 19 years before A New Hope, and so little Anakin Skywalker, who is about 8 years old here in Episode 1.
Okay.
In Episode 2, he's older. He's kind of like the preteen. Maybe about like 12, 13 years old, somewhere around there. And so we've got 1, 2, and this is the kind of like the missing piece between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. It does connect the dots, exactly. And so in this movie, you know, they claim, the producers and directors say, okay, this is the movie fans have been waiting for. This is the one where you see the Jedi wiped out, because there's no Jedi around here. You get to see Anakin Skywalker become Darth Vader, where he is right here in his operating table. He's missing his legs and his helmet, and so he's becoming Darth Vader right there. Okay. And you know, it's just kind of like connecting all the dots of how Anakin Skywalker fell to the dark side and became Darth Vader. Oh, so kind of this trilogy of 3 movies right here, this is the fall of Anakin Skywalker. Okay. And then over here, these 3 trilogy of movies, this is the redemption of Anakin Skywalker.
I spent a lot of time on Anakin Skywalker.
This is his story. Oh. This is the Anakin Skywalker story. What they're going to do is they're going to create what they call Star Wars stories. So these are movies that take place still in this Star Wars universe, but not necessarily along this timeline following these characters. Okay. So coming out this December 2016, we're going to have a movie called Star Wars Rogue One. And this is going to be a movie that's going to take place still in this timeline. So it's going to take place approximately right in here. It's going to take place between episodes 3 and episode 4. Wow. And
it's a really big movie to borrow this way.
Oh, I hope so. You know, yeah, they're hoping it'll be a big movie because they're taking chances. Yeah. They're saying, well, we're not going to
give the movie money this time to actually make it.
So far, we've come out with a trailer that looks awesome and a behind-the-scenes sizzle reel that makes it look even more awesome. Okay. So yeah, they've got money. It's a guerrilla-style movie where they're down in there in the trenches with these guys, like a Band of Brothers war-type movie, you know? Okay. And so the premise for Rogue One right here is they're stealing the plans to the Death Star. Okay. This is the big bad guy's weapon that they're building, and that they were trying their best to take out and instill fear in the galaxy and take out our good guys.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tyrone Braxton. I won 2 Super Bowl rings and was an all-pro safety. But I wanted to do more with my life. I knew I wanted to help people, and MSU Denver helped me figure out my next steps. As a case manager at the Mental Health Center Denver, I'm helping people re-enter society. And this is so much better than those 2 Super Bowl rings. I reinvented myself at MSU Denver.
Hi, this is Wellington Webb, former mayor of Denver, Colorado from 1991 to 2003. I was so pleased to receive an honorary doctorate from Metro State University. It's been a great highlight of my life. And I also want to take this opportunity to say happy birthday to you on your 50th anniversary.
I've seen firsthand the work Metro State is doing to prepare students for success. It's focused on innovation and aligning education with the needs of employers throughout the state. From preparing students for good-paying jobs in Colorado's aerospace and aviation industries to partnering with Denver Public Schools to develop great teachers. Congratulations on 50 years of transforming lives. Keep up the good work, and here's to the next 50 years.
Met Radio on mymetmedia.com.
The Met Sports Show is the longest tenured program on Met Radio. Having won the SPJ Region 9 Mark of Excellence Award 3 times since 2013, the Sports Show serves as the model program for new employees and volunteers to learn from and shadow.
Redemption is the greatest gift of all in the holiday tradition, A Christmas Carol. Ebenezer Scrooge could use a lesson in holiday spirit. Luckily, 3 ghosts are about to help him discover the true meaning of Christmas, whether he likes it or not. Follow him on a must-see musical journey through one magical night full of dancing, drama, and fresh starts. See it at the Stage Theater November 25th through December 24th. Visit denvercenter.org for tickets.
All eyes are on the smash hit winner of 4 Tony Awards. The show Rolling Stone calls the best rock musical ever. Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Tickets at denvercenter.org or 303-893-4100.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. that no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
Welcome back. So God himself has returned. Well, sort of. Fresh off from Broadway, playing now at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts is An Act of God. This hilarious comedy focuses on God and his updated commandments. I sat down with God himself for a little one-on-one.
Hi, my name is Wesley Taylor, and I play God.
As for the Bible verse, "Thou shalt not lie with a man as one lies with a woman."
That's just good advice. When you're with a man, you can straight up lie, but if you're lying to a woman, you need to be more subtle about it. Turn it back on her. You think I'm cheating on you? That hurts, Linda. That really hurts.
Basically, An Act of God, the premise is God has come down to earth to inhabit the body of a stage and screen actor. I am the vessel in which the audience receives the new interpretation of the commandments and what I really meant when I wrote that good old book.
They've even started dragging me into the gun debate, too. Apparently there's a God-given right to guns. Really? What part of the Bible did you find that in? The part with all the guns in it? What book? What chapter? Colt 45? AK-47?
In the show, I break down the commandments and sort of rewrite the commandments for a modern audience. So something that I tried to do a little differently from what I saw was give him a little bit of an arc. And there are three distinct places where God realizes that maybe he's made some mistakes and maybe he can learn himself from the mistakes he's already made. I have so many jokes in this show that go a little unappreciated. Like some of the audience laughs at jokes that I didn't even think were that funny, but the jokes that I love, my favorite jokes, aren't met with as much laughter as I like them. Towards the end of the show, I have this bit that goes, do you realize that in 6,000 years I have not done a single bit of outreach to the Chinese community? It's only the single most populous country on the planet. What kind of marketing is that? I think that's a brilliant joke. But at that point in the show, it's time to wrap it up. If you're a young, spirited millennial who loves The Daily Show, this is your show, and you should totally come down and see it. My favorite part of the show is that it's never boring. That's my favorite aspect of this show is that every audience is completely unpredictable, and the energy that they give me sets the tone for every single show.
Well, that's it for tonight, and if you're thinking, why did they have such a short show this week? Well, that's because I am proud to announce that next week we will be having a live, hour-and-a-half-long Christmas special. We are so excited to announce that bands such as Avornine, Ryan Criss and the Rough Cuts, and Danielle the Sandwich are coming back. We will have tons of fun and games, and even some special appearances by Rudolph and Santa. So tune in next week, Friday the 16th at 3 p.m. live on mymetmedia.com, and until then, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Good night.